That would be the answer. Um, yeah, there's one reason, and that is this. It all comes down to smell the money. And this is a fairly appropriate time to talk about it because the this is like the 8th anniversary of well, a couple days ago, of the Ukrainian Nazis burning 46 ethnic Russians alive for peacefully protesting the ban on speaking Russian. And at the time, there were 30% of the Russians in that area living in Ukraine, Odessa, that only spoke Russian. And recently, Ukraine was at peace talks instigated by Russia and Turkey, and Ukraine had made some concessions in the interest of a peace treaty. And guess what? The U.S. called him up and said, withdraw all your concessions and we'll give you all the arms you want. And so he did. And now we're sitting here with an Vietnam-like escalation. By the way, I mean, what people are, which, who is it that told the world that Russia invaded Ukraine uninstigated, unprovoked? It's the same people who lied about Afghanistan, Libya, Yemen, Somalia, Panama, Dominican Republic, Vietnam, Korea, and most recently Russian collusion, Donald Trump, drone strikes. But no, not this time. They're telling the truth, I'm sure. And it's a good thing that Biden was elected fair and square, not installed by a deep state interested in constant war, because otherwise we might think that Americans, or at least 80 million of them, really did not want to be involved in foreign wars that had virtually nothing to do with them and their security or standard of living. Obviously, 80 million people did not want America first, high employment, anti-illegal immigration, anti-interventionist presidential policy. And they're getting what they voted for. It's sad that the other half of the country are not getting what they voted for. And it's a good thing that only 1/3 of Biden's Pentagon transition team identified their employment at the time that they were appointed to companies that were directly associated with the arms industry. Yeah, it's a good thing it wasn't half, because otherwise we would think that the U.S. intentionally started this war by doing exactly what Putin had said he would go to all extent possible to avoid, and that is NATO moving into Ukraine. So they're giving all these weapons to Ukraine with no hope of getting them back. The United States is encouraging all the European nations to give their old weapons to Ukraine with no possible hope of winning the war unless they put boots on the ground in Ukraine, which is an even more devastating, horrible situation. And they're going to resupply those countries with American-made weapons. How coincidental that the military-industrial complex is going to benefit hugely out of Ukrainians dying, Americans being less wealthy, and Russians dying and being less wealthy. Thankfully, the Biden administration has now established the Ministry of Truth. So now we're going to know all of the real truth, like who decided that the swing states stopped voting at the same time on election night, or why Parler was shut down within 24 hours of the Capitol insurrection, with millions of videos from the attendees of that insurrection on that platform for all to see who was there causing the violence and looting. Yeah, it's a good thing. Or maybe this new Ministry of Truth can tell us why the many videos of BLM people at the January 6th insurrection were taken down multiple times from YouTube. Or maybe how they could find out how the FBI lost Hunter's laptop, or why Seth Rich was shot twice in the back in an attempted robbery, but still had his wallet when his body was found, or how Jeffrey Epstein was able to hang himself at the exact time that the guards were sleeping and the cameras were off. This is some. I mean, I'm sure they're going to get right on this stuff. Or maybe they could tell us why the day after the Russians left Bucha, that's the place where the videos of all the bodies were, the day after the Russians left, the mayor of Bucha put out a video and never mentioned the hundreds of civilians murdered. Seems a little odd. Or maybe they can find out why Russia requested a third-party forensic inspection of the bodies from the UN to verify the time of death, but Ukraine refused it. Or maybe they could find out why this hero Zelensky became a billionaire, being an actor and a politician. Wait a minute. Could it be the money? Could it be that Zelensky had a pay-to-play scam with Burisma and a certain vice president of the USA whose son was employed by them? Yeah. It's there are some burning issues, but they will be drowned out like the fog all around us now. The fog of war.